Hi, everyone. It's Arden. After a minor, major, slightly frustrating breakdown, I'm back. I am the owner, creator, voice behind Arden's Chats. And as you guys know, this is a business podcast which talks about life and brings in really cool people and all the things that we need as entrepreneurs, all the resources we need. One of the resources a lot of us need is dating advice because we don't want to be single. Yet most of us, Gen Xers, were not really raised in the app world. Renee over here, Renee Suzanne is going to help us. She is a dating coach and she actually specializes on women 40 and up and helps us date better. So Renee, thank you so much for joining us. I need to date better. I'm terrible at it. So tell me about your business and why you're so cool and why everyone needs to work with you.
Thank you so much for having me, Arden. Everyone needs to work with me because I used to be a dating disaster, absolute dating disaster. And I figured it out. And I think that gives me a certain edge because some people are just naturally good at dating and they just float through life and meet great guys and are happily able to just marry the right guy and get kids and a dog and all the things, and they watch poor souls like us out there getting our butts kicked. And I have, like, the best friend who was married for, since she graduated from college, and she was always like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I love you. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you shouldn't be so picky, or I don't know. I mean, things like that. And like, we all have friends like that. And then, like, people like you and I are like, oh my God, I'm successful at everything else. Like, I had a degree in finance. I graduated magna cum laude. I was killing it. I had a good job. I raised 4 kids by myself, bought houses, cars, just did all the things, like went on vacation by myself. I could like take over the planet, but put me with a guy and I would pick the worst one who would be awful to me. And then I would be crying in my little it girl apartment and going out for expensive martinis with my friends and buying shoes and, thinking like, why can I do all this stuff? I can run marathons. I can, like, all the things. And it was just incredibly frustrating because I just thought, like, maybe I'm cursed. Maybe I just can't do this. Maybe I am meant to have other things in life, but this is not my meant to be thing. And I should just be happy to have all the things that I have. And maybe this just isn't my jam in this lifetime or whatever.
Right.
And I overcame all that stuff. And anybody can because
Okay.
at the end of the day, dating is simply a skill that you can learn. That's all it is, really, which is great news for us.
It is great news. Okay, so let's start. I mean, there are so many places we could start, but I told Renee that I would start with me. So here's the deal about me. I turned 45 June 24th. So at the recording of this, it was a week ago. I have never been married. I haven't really had that many serious relationships. I have tons and tons and tons of guy friends. I know all the sports. I know all the things, but dating just does. And I don't want to put it out there, but for all intents and purposes, dating does not work for me. I don't like it. I would prefer an arranged marriage and we'll just see how it all works out. And so I am very curious to dig into this. And I said I would use kind of me as this little bit of a prototype because this isn't like a free coaching session or anything like this. I want to talk about the women that I'm working with who also, and the things we get, Renee, the things we get is, I just don't understand. You're gorgeous. Your guy is out there. Your guy is out there. And I'm like, I didn't really think I'm doing a lot of things, right? Like I'm sure there is a guy out there. I'm sure there are 12 guys out there. Do I even want that? The next thing I get is like you said, you're too picky. You need to do better. You need to go on dates all the time. You need to do to the point that I just go, you know what? I might shut down. So how do you even start with a person that walks in? What's kind of do you have like a criteria that you even work with? Like, you had to have been married before, you have to be a widow. Like, is there anything that you start with?
you have to want to date and you have to be willing to listen to me.
Girl, that's how I coach people too. They're like, how do you take on clients? I was like, you got to listen. I mean, I'm not taking money is integrity, right? It's a transfer of energy. If you don't listen to me, there's no integrity in it. So, okay, you got to be able to listen. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's bar done, you know, because I know what works, and there is some leeway. You do not have to dot all the I's and cross all the T's.
Okay.
But you've got to be willing to listen to at least, 80 to 90% of what I say most of the time. And because you don't want to pay me to just argue with me all the time. So you've got to be at least willing to listen and try some of the things that I'm going to ask you to do. And it's like sort of a process of evolution. So dating is a skill that can be learned.
Okay.
Most of us are just flat out doing it wrong.
Okay.
Because we weren't taught how to do this. We grew up in like these easy breezy ways. Like, we're Gen Xers, so we were like right after the swinging 60s when all the stuff went out the window, and we were in this like weirdness right before online dating and apps really became a thing. So we're like this little bubble of a generation that isn't used to the apps and the tech part of it. Right. And now, a little later in life than like the millennials and beyond, we're getting tossed into this mix going like, well, what do you do? Like, we didn't grow up seeing more than one person at a time. We tend to assume that you go on a few dates with a guy, you're exclusive. Well, you're not. That's conversation. The rules of dating rules, if you call them, and so rules are like, not to be super judgy, but there are things that work better than others. Okay. There are just some things that work better than others. Like, if you go into the kitchen and you want to make an omelet, there are ways to make an omelet. You might do better with a recipe than you would just grabbing a box of cornflakes and some grape jelly out of the fridge and putting it in the toaster. Like, if I told you how to make an omelet, I might say get some eggs and, whip them up and use a fry pan and all of that. And you'd probably listen to me. Yeah. But if I told you rules for dating, you might be like, well, I don't want to no, I'm like, do you want the omelet or not? Right. There's some things that work better than others. Right. And so I use the word rules for lack of a better term. Okay. But there are just methods and ways of dating that work. And sometimes when people bristle at it being manipulative or kind of game playing-y, like, I would say, okay, first of all, how about some boundaries? Because you never run your business the way you date. You'd never run your personal life, your calendar the way you date. You would never run your fit. You look like you're pretty fit and awesome. You probably go to the gym and do this stuff. Maybe you even work with a trainer. You don't say, well, I'm going to eat whatever I dang well please, and I'm never going to lift a dumbbell in my life and expect to look amazing and feel amazing. If that trainer tells you do 15 reps, you're doing them. You're not going to say, well, that seems really very structured and manipulative. You're just going to do the darn thing because you want an awesome body. Right. So that's what I'm talking about when I say rules. It's like, do you want the result? There are things that work better than others. And so I teach a certain way of doing things. Yeah. Are there other ways that will work? Yes. But doing whatever the heck you feel like, if it hasn't worked yet, then you should probably try something else.
I love that. I love that. And that's one of the things we were talking about beforehand is a lot of my audience are alpha females, or at least they project. Because again, we are business owners, we're CEOs, we've got to do the thing. The best person I can relate to myself to is Rebecca. Did you watch Ted Lasso?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm 100% Rebecca. I look like Rebecca. I am as tall as Rebecca. I am as like, I love you, but I'm carrying around a lot of like, and I've worked through, I'm more Rebecca season 3 than I am Rebecca season 1. But there's a lot of those things that go on with me and that go on with people around me, right? That, and I'll be honest. So here's the thing. We talked about this. I would use myself. I am a 5'11", successful, tall, blonde, and every single guy who starts to date me goes, well, you must be crazy because someone would have snagged you up by now. So when I talked about in the pre-show about like men and what men say to me and what they do and what they say to a lot of other women is, especially in our age group, is, well, you must be crazy because otherwise you'd be snatched up. How do people come to you? And when people come to you with that, that's their baggage, right? That's their story. That's the story they've been telling themselves or they've been told. What's the first thing that you can kind of say? Because I'm sure there's people watching this who are going to come to you and they're going to say, but everyone said I'm crazy. There's something wrong with me and I don't know how to fix me anymore. Where do you even start with that?
First of all, don't talk to guys who say you must be crazy. That's
rude. I don't talk to them. I just know. I'm not talking to them.
We're not talking to them anymore. They come up with that. It's next. So
I don't want to go, buddy. I'm living a really full life. I just happen to like want a partner. I don't want to like. Your job is not to put me down. Your job is to lift me up, just like my job is to lift you.
Why is he single? I don't even.
Girl, you can't say that to them. It might hurt their feelings.
And they shouldn't be talking to you like that. I don't like those guys. So we're not dating those guys. They're gone. Let's write a new story because your past is your past. It doesn't have to have anything to do with your future if you don't want it to. So you started a business. You weren't born a business owner. Nobody came to your crib when you were a baby, dropped that thing off and said, here you go, Arden. Here's your awesome business that you're going to run. No, you got up out of that crib. You learned to walk. You went to school. You got some training. You got some business skills. You got some life skills. You're smart. You probably made some mistakes too and learned from them. And you didn't carry them with you. You said, all right, I learned from that. I'm going to do this next time. I got a new plan and I'm doing these new things now because that's how we learn in business. That's how you learn to walk, by falling down and getting back up. That's how, so nobody, well, there are those blessed souls who are just born married and just get married right out of college or high school and are happy. Then there's the people who get it wrong the first time, learn and move on and go and are more successful the next time. And then there are people who are just, it takes them a little longer. Maybe they've been working on a business. Maybe they've been doing other things and they always thought, oh, this will just happen. And then you wake up one day, maybe you're 40 or 45 or 50 and you're like, oh, and it hasn't happened yet. What do I need to do now?
One thing you just said that I wanted to pause on and reiterate for our audience is those mistakes, you didn't carry them with you. And what I'm sure you see in relationships in general, right, is people carry relationship mistakes further, whether it's mistakes and they carry the relationships with previous partners, relationships with parents, relationships with siblings, relationships with friends, whether they're thriving or failing. We carry, as humans, we carry relationships with us much more than I think we carry business mistakes. Because you carry a business mistake, like there's a whole, you guys can go and look at all the different stories I've done and all the people I've interviewed. And we talk about those mistakes, using those to propel us forward. But what you're saying, Renee, is what, if I'm hearing this correctly, is we should not carry those mistakes. It's a live and learn and move on. Next person is the next person, right?
Exactly. Learn. Yes. I mean, you don't have to have amnesia about it and be like, whatever, and make the same mistake, 37 times.
Right.
But if we took dating like we took business. Okay. Here's a funny analogy that I'm going to bring up. And I think you'll relate to it as a businesswoman.
Okay.
Somebody was saying, I forget where I heard this, that some absolutely horrible statistic about how many businesses fail. Something like 80 to 90% of businesses fail. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's wrong. 100% of businesses fail.
Oh, yeah.
100 repeatedly. But we successful business women, we don't let that stop us.
Mm-mm.
And so we just move on and we learn from those things.
Yeah.
Well, every time we fail. And if we did that with dating, we'd be so much better off because you don't take it so personally. I think, I mean, we take dating so personally. It feels so personal. And with business, it's more like, okay, I can see that I made a decision about this, hiring this vendor.
Right.
I spent money on this thing that probably would have been better spent elsewhere. But
Yep.
you know what? I'll make some more money. I'll hire a different vendor. I'll learn how to screen things better. And we just move on and we make some more money and we do better and better with all the lessons that we've learned.
Yeah.
And with dating, it's like, oh my God, he didn't call. He dumped me via text right before Christmas. This actually happened to me. And it's awful. And, we take it way more personally. But business, does it hurt? Of course. But we learn from it and we move on.
So interesting. Okay. So we come to you, whoever's watching this, whoever's going to watch it later. What does it look like to work with a dating coach? How is a dating coach? We're going to say that first. And I want you to mix it in with how is a dating coach different from a matchmaker?
Yeah. Yeah. So a matchmaker is a person who has actual humans in a database. I've never been a matchmaker, but I know what they are.
Yeah.
So a matchmaker will match you with people in her database that she has pre-vetted. I know that a good one is very, very expensive and they have limited numbers of people. A lot of times they network with other matchmakers to get you in front of people. And a matchmaker can do some of that pre-screening for you and save you some time in the dating process. Matchmakers often work in tandem with dating coaches like me to help, because if you continually find guys who are good and responsible and really into you, unattractive, or you just have a habit of picking guys who aren't good for you, or you never like the guys who like you back, that kind of thing.
Right.
A matchmaker can put you in front of people, but they can't resolve the relationship habits that may have landed you in the place where you are if you're single and wanting to be with someone and having relationships not work out. So matchmakers can put you in front of people. It's often slow going. It's often a lot of times the men who are paying, thousands and thousands of dollars for matchmakers want 20 something, whatever. And so it can be a bit of a challenge, like everything is. I mean, dating does get harder as you get older. It still is doable, but it just takes more. It takes more effort, just like everything else does when you get older. Doesn't mean you can't, doesn't mean it's not worth doing. It totally is.
Right. But it's going to cost you, like I've talked to matchmakers before, international, because I wanted a high level man. I wanted him to be able to support himself and support a lifestyle. And I reached out to some and they're $10,000, $20,000, $30,000.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah. And it is, and the other thing is there's no guarantee. And like you said, there's nothing that's doing the work to change you or adjusting, right? Like, okay, there could be some adjustments that you need to make. So here's my question for you next. So that's the difference. If I come to you or anyone on here, I don't want to use apps. Well, truthfully. Okay. I don't want to use apps. I just want to meet them in my neighborhood. I don't want to do any work. Is that a person who's even open to dating?
I would strongly suggest that you be as open as possible. I would say to you, how bad do you want someone?
Yeah, it's true.
You can't order them on Amazon. Like, I wish you could. But if you don't want to use the dating app, here's the thing. I would ask you, first of all, why don't you want to use those dating sites and apps?
Mhm.
And I can make it so much less painful because usually people will tell me there's liars, there's cheaters, there's scammers. I hate this and that and the other. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I can make dating apps and sites and all the things so much better for you. It doesn't have to suck.
How can
It-
you do that? I'm curious because there's so many bots on them now. Like
yeah,
it's
for sure.
really hard to navigate.
Yeah, and you can easily spot you can spot the bots very easily. The first thing I help my clients do is decide exactly what they want, and then we distill down to like what are your must-haves.
Okay.
There's the window dressing. There's a big list, like 100 qualities of what you want in a man, right? And
Mhm.
we distill it down to about 20 that you would really like that are super important to you, and then there are 5 must-haves. I like
Yeah.
the must-haves to be character-based.
Yeah.
Character-based, things
So
like
hot
responsible,
is
kind.
what you're telling me is hot is not a character trait.
Well, here's the thing, you're probably anybody is gonna get between, I would say, 75 to 90% of what they want, and you just wanna make sure it's the right 70 to 90%. So your
Yeah.
5 must-haves are must-haves. He might still be hot, but you've dated hot, and where are they now, right?
They're still in my DMs. I'm just not
Yeah,
answering them.
they're in your DM and you're not answering them. There's good reasons you're not answering them, probably. So, and you might still end up with hot. Now, I am happily married now. I got married at the age of 47 to a man I met on Tinder, and
Girl, Tinder.
yeah, Tinder.
Really?
He's
Look at
younger than me. He is hot, in my opinion.
yeah.
He's got a master's degree in engineering. Now, he's no slouch. I didn't
Right.
go, dating some guy who lived under a bridge just to get a ring that I bought myself or something. I mean, I did
Right.
pretty good
Yeah.
using the methods that I teach my clients. So you're not going to have to, date some 90-year-old homeless guy who weighs more than a truck. It's going to be okay.
And I think that's a lot of the fear going into that, like talking to a dating coach or talking to any kind of coach, to be honest, is you're going to make me do things I don't want to do.
Well, that
And
is true.
I don't like ugly people, or I don't like, I don't like fat people, or I don't like people shorter than me, or I don't want to date outside my race, or whatever it is. You're coming with all of these stipulations and thinking, guys, that the same thing that worked for you, it's not working. So what? And also looking at you internally, like, how are you showing up for a date? Are you drinking too much on a date? Are you, I always am like really careful about food that I order on dates because I'm like, I really want a salad, but it's going to get stuck in my teeth. So things like that, that's why getting a coach to help you on things, I think it sounds exciting. Like, just how much of the work do you do for your people though?
What I do, I assist you because you got to do some work, but I'll help make sure that it's the right work.
Okay.
You're not going I don't give you busy work. You're not going to be spinning your wheels. I will help once we get down to your 5 must-haves.
Yeah.
I help you write your profile. I used to write the profiles for my clients, but they didn't sound enough like my clients. So now we collaborate on the profile. So I don't send you off and make you write your own profile. I collaborate with you on it so that it still sounds like you, but it's really good.
Okay.
Most people don't write really good profiles. They think they do, but their profile sounds like everybody else's. And so I help you write an amazing profile. We get you on a dating site or an app, preferably both, but I'll start you off with baby steps if you want, and we'll just get your feet wet. And then talk to the guys.
What's the difference between a dating site and an app?
Well, an app is like Tinder or Bumble,
right.
And a dating site is like Match.com, OkCupid,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which also usually have apps too. The full-on sites do also have apps.
Right. Okay. So you get them started. What do they need to go on dates every day? Like, what does it kind of look like? How do you fit dating into your already busy lifestyle?
Yeah. Great questions. Because all of my clients are busy professional women, and you don't want to have to quit your job nobody waits until they retire or are able to stop working to date.
Right.
working adults. Some of my clients have children or are caring for aging parents and doing other things and have busy, full lives.
Okay.
So what I say is you have to be willing. I get on Zoom with my clients for an hour every week. They can reach me in between sessions for quick questions. I'm available for that. But I would suggest that in addition to the hour you spend with me on Zoom, that you carve out maybe an additional 20 minutes a day to scroll through an app or a site,
Okay.
some time to get on the phone with guys. I suggest dating men who will call you on the phone, old school style. Dial your number and call you on the phone. It raises the bar and weeds out a lot of craziness. And then maybe 1 or 2 dates a week.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be every single week, but I do want you on the apps meeting people. And it's really easy to spot the bots. You will get good at it. You're not going to get scammed or catfished unless you don't listen to anything I say. It's pretty easy to avoid that.
Okay. So let me ask you, what's a good first date? Because I'm run the gamut of, hey, I live in a really great area, so I can meet them downstairs, or I like to do as little work as possible, especially when I'm on like a really, like, there's been times when I'm just like going on 2 or 3 dates a week and I'm just like, I don't feel like traveling. I've had guys that are like, the only way for you can meet me is to come to where I live. And I'm like, no. So what is kind of in a world where, and the other thing is we're talking about this is a lot of your women are alpha women, and sometimes we're told we're too domineering. So there's times that I'm like, I guess I could come to you because I'm being so domineering that I need to be able to give, right?
That is not chivalrous. I do not. I'm old school. I want my women treated well. A man who insists that you come to him is not going to be any fun to date. It's going to be his way or the highway. You want a man who will at least come to your neck of the woods, at least for a first date or two, for heaven's sake.
Let me tell you, this guy, like, this was in my face of like, let me just try. And I was like, hey, dude, you live 30 minutes away from me. His reasoning, guys, he was like, I can't come to you because I drive all day. Then we're not going to work out. He's like, he literally turned around to me and said, well, that's why you're still single. You don't want to make an effort.
Okay, well.
And I went, you know what? I think and he literally, I remember him being on the phone with him, Renee, for an hour, him trying to convince me to keep seeing him. And I was like, I gotta go. And then he keep talking. I'm like, why am I not hanging up? Why am I not hanging up? But this is what women who have dated for so long, we grew up, we're Gen Xers. Remember, like, her audience, guys, who's coming are 40 and over. You're watching Sex in the City, or you're watching Friends, or that's how we learn to date, right? Friends. We grew up when we talked about the rules. You don't call him first. You play hard to get, all of these things. And then it became like, well, you're too hard. I'm sure that you're overcoming all of that. So what's a good first date? And do you have rules for the first date?
I think that a good first date, in my opinion, let him come to you. If he's not going to come to you for a first date, then let some other poor woman have him. I think he should come to you for the first date. I think it's chivalrous and it shows that he's excited about you. So when you write a really good profile, here's the thing. The unofficial beginning of your relationship is when he sees your beautiful picture on whatever site you're on, clicks on your profile and reads it, and he's going to get drawn in and he's going to say, who is this woman? I really want to meet her. Then you start chatting. You invite him to call you on the phone. If he doesn't ask for your number, he dials your number and you speak on the phone. And then hopefully that conversation results in him inviting you on a date. At which time I want you to have a little list of places that you would like to visit near your home that is convenient for you. And if he says, oh, where would you like to go? You just name one and you take your own transportation there and you meet him for that first date. Nothing but a kiss goodnight. That's it. Oh. That's enough.
I don't even do that. So
if you want to, only if you want to, but that's enough.
Yeah.
Because because you want to date him long enough to make sure he shows up well over time and that he values you as a human being, not as a commodity.
Yep.
You want to make sure that he's making an effort to get to know you. And lots of men aren't going to be willing to do this. That's okay. Let them go. The man that you want to date, he's willing to do these things because he's excited about you and he wants to drive to meet you. Because here's the thing, good men who are fun to be with, who you want to actually be with, they want to do these things for you. They want to do nice things. They want to make your life better. My husband, we've been married 6 years. He still opens the car door for me. He still drives me all over the place because I don't really care to drive too much. And he does things for me. Good men want to do things for you, even though you're an alpha female, even though you make bank, even though you have your own apartment or house or condo or dogs or cats, or even though you can run circles around him, ladies, and we know we can. Good men want to be needed and they want to do things for you and they want to be your hero. So if he says drive 30 minutes for our first date, hang up immediately. You're done. That's not your guy.
Guys, ladies, I hope you're listening, and guys that are watching, I hope, because a lot of the guys that are watching are single as well, and they're just trying their best to figure out how to find the right girl. Because a lot of times on these dating apps at this point, like, they're just as confused as we are. And they're still trying to figure it all out because they're just like, we are not leaning into relationship anymore. We're not leaning into community. So if someone doesn't want to do dating apps, is there another option for them? Like, they're just like, I just don't feel comfortable with it, or I'm 60 and it's just too hard. Like,
call me and I will help you.
Okay.
Get comfortable with it.
Okay.
That is like saying, you know what? I don't get on planes or use expressways. I would prefer to travel from New York City to San Francisco via horseback, but I don't want to get my hair wet. And
Right.
like, come on. It's just these apps and dating sites, no matter how old you are, no matter what all, I promise you, they are the best thing going if you use them right. And I can help you use them right. If I'm not your cup of tea, then find someone else who can help you take advantage of what is available for us today, because you're so much better off today than you were 30 years ago, waiting for, I don't know, to bump into him at the grocery store, for your Aunt Matilda to get a hold of her, whatever that she plays cards with, and see if his nephew is still single or whatnot. You can go on there right now and have a date this weekend if you do this right. So learn this stuff.
So how far away? So what else what are some tips that you can just give people? Like, how far away should they live? Is there an age range that we should be looking for? Like, what are there some? Yeah.
So many awesome tips. Okay, how far away? I say no more than an hour, 90 minutes tops. Like, if you live in some crazy place that there's no men and only a couple of goats, I'll give you 90 minutes. But here's the thing. There are people who deliberately pick someone a good distance away so they can have sort of a liaison kind of thing. Maybe they are married, maybe they're cheating on their girlfriend, maybe there's something. You don't want that. You want a guy who is going to, and even if they're not, even if they're on the up and up, but they're very single and working all the time, you want somebody that you can build a real honest to goodness relationship. And that requires being able to see them 2 or 3 times a week. And really getting to know them, not having it be some kind of fantasy vacation relationship. So 1 hour is the preferable upper limit. I'll give you 90 minutes if you live somewhere insanely remote. As far as age range for 40-something and above women, I recommend plus or minus 10 years. That gives you a 20-year spread, which is very doable.
Okay. Oh gosh, I just had a question. Here's a big thing I get, and I've stopped putting up professional pictures. A lot of people think I'm a bot. So are there pictures? They're like, there's no way you look like that, because I have a lot of professional pictures. Is there a way for people to show your true self? Like, listen, I can do hair and makeup. I can be pretty attractive if I try hard enough. but it's not my fault. I always say it's not my fault I look like this. It's not my fault I'm this hot, tall. It's not my fault. Like, what happens to those people? And there's probably plenty of people on here who like, we know you're not real. Do you work with them also to go, this is really the right picture for you? This is the wrong picture for you. This portrays who you are all those like, or is it just like, get over yourself and just put out who you are?
I used professional pictures myself. A lot of, here's the thing, people think they're bots because so many people's pictures are just downright awful. You know, so anybody with a decent picture, probably people might think is a bot. You can include a few candids with and mix them in with the professional pictures if you want to. I help my private clients select which pictures that they're going to use.
Yep.
So right offhand, I would say, you know, you could include a few, if you want to use your professional pictures, mix in a few candids where, you know, you still look really nice. You want to have no hats, no sunglasses. You want to be alone in the picture. You want, you know,
dudes, here's my biggest thing about my
complaints. People out of your pictures.
Or my complaints about dudes especially is I get the fish thing. Like, you want us all to know your provider. Cool. And at this point in time, it's hilarious when I see the fish pictures. But also if you're bald, I don't care, but take off your baseball cap. I have had guys who have posted pictures that are 20 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, there's no way yours are real because I am 45. And they're like, you don't look 45. I'm like, yeah, because I freaking use moisturizer and I take care of myself. I will tell you from a woman's perspective, there's not a bigger turnoff than you not posting real pictures. Man, like, when y'all don't post what you really look like, I don't care that you're 30 pounds overweight. I need to know that because I also, on my profile, it says I am in shape. I work out 5 times a day. My ideal date is us going to work out together because that is one thing that I'm looking for. Like, I want you to come work out with me. Like, that's fun to me. And putting that out there and you pretending to be someone that you're not really makes a lot of women mad. And that's a lot of what turns us off as well. And we get really frustrated because you're like, dude, I am being as authentic as I can. I am competing with Barbie over here with like all of her BBLs and all that kind of stuff. I got a stomach now, or I'm like, and that's just me ranting of, if you want to date a 20-year-old, put on that you want to date a 20-year-old, like, be honest, right? Do you think?
Yeah, I think, I'm all for honesty. Don't lie about your age. Please use updated picture. If you changed your hair, post a new picture, post at least one full body shot.
Yes. Please
wear clothes. If your guy listening, if we see one more bathroom shot with you shirtless, no.
We don't care.
Men and women,
please, right now, that is not
both genders. Please wear clothes. You can show all the skin later when you know each other better, but
it is very true. And I have a guy that literally matches with me. He used to match with me all the time. And I can tell I would match just to see if he would ask a different question. His question would always be, do you like guys with beards and tattoos? Every time I'd match with him. And I'm like, dude, I matched with you and you have a beard and you have tattoos. Like, y'all men, you know what? Your husband needs to be the male dating coach because this sassy is like, dude, I have matched with you 4 times just to see if you're going to ask me that question again. Another thing, and I will ask you this, whenever they ask for my WhatsApp, that's a bot, right?
Don't, there's no need for that. Have him to call you on the phone, old school. We're Gen Xers. He can dial your number. No WhatsApp. I think that's shady and I would not do that.
Yeah, because they're overseas. Okay, so how else? What are the things that you want people to walk away? Because we're reaching 30 minutes and I can talk forever. What do people need to know about you? What's the best way to reach out to you? And what are your closing arguments for why we should use a dating coach?
Please use a dating coach if you want the fastest, easiest way to learn how to date. Dating is a skill that you can learn. It's just like driving a car, learning any job, learning how to speak a foreign language. You don't get up in the morning and cry your eyes out because you weren't born knowing how to speak French. You take a French class. It's the same with dating. So just learn how to date. hire a dating coach, work with somebody, and learn how to date if you want to have someone in your life sooner rather than later.
Right.
And hiring a coach is the best and quickest and easiest way to do that. Otherwise, you're kind of stuck with trial and error. Can you learn through trial and error? Yes, but it's painful and it takes forever, so I don't recommend it. Also, please use the dating sites and the dating apps. If you learn how to use them, it's akin to like getting on a plane and flying across the country versus hitchhiking. For heaven's sake, just learn the things. It's not that bad.
Yeah, I love how straightforward you are. Like, dude, just do it.
Yeah.
And I think I will say this on my end. You need to want to do it. There are times when I get on there because I'm bored and then I'm annoyed and I get off. I think anytime I've dated purposely, I have had great experiences or okay experiences, but at least I've gone on dates. When I am not dating purposely, guys, like if I'm just on there to be entertained or I'm doing it to get my cup filled, I just don't do well. And guys, if a girl has never responded back to you every time you're on the app, stop reaching out to her. Like, I don't want to be a jerk, but I'll be a jerk. Like, Renee, I will be the jerk who's like, dude, I don't want to say no to you anymore. Or the ones that are like I get DMs all the time. Or, hey, are you single? Hey, are you this? If I don't respond, if I leave you on red, and this goes for all women, we don't want to be mean because you don't want us to be mean. But if we leave you on red, that means we're not interested. And don't bug us because you're also infringing on our space and on who we are. And you're making us feel guilty for going, I don't want that in my life. I'm not interested in you. I'm not a jerk for not responding to an unsolicited message. Do you think?
Yeah, you're not. You're absolutely not. And guys are going to keep messaging you because you're gorgeous. And you could just say, oh my gosh, poor thing. He's just crazy about me. I can't blame him. It doesn't have to be upsetting. You don't have to respond to him. You could just say, look how popular I am. Dang.
Yeah. And I think a lot of women, especially I'm Southern, I see where you're from. I'm Southern, and Southern women feel like they have to say something. You don't.
No, you don't.
Do not have to say anything.
You do not. No, you don't have time to be quitting your job so you can respond to all the guys who are reaching out to you to turn them down nicely. You do not.
You don't, ladies. And you don't have to, and I'm going to be honest, you don't have to go home with someone that you remember a couple weeks ago, we talked to the Epstein survivor. I'd love for you to go back and watch that one as well. You don't have to go home with them. You don't have to kiss them if you don't want to. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to. This working with a dating coach is about, I believe, Renee, taking back some of that power that you maybe have given away at some point in time. And a lot of you are coming and you've had some trauma. You've had some things happen. Working with someone can help you get through that. And, we've got counseling to cope, and then we've got coaches to help you thrive. And I think that's really important for y'all to remember of having someone in your corner helps tremendously because we're all just trying to figure it out. I think everyone really wants love somehow or another in their life, whether that's fostering some kids or whether that's getting back out there after a certain time. And TV shows are not real. They're just not. Like, once Big dies, Aiden isn't coming back, right? Like, that's the new storyline on, I think, not of like, Aiden's coming back and everything's good. That's TV and it's scripted and we all can write stories and they're awesome. But working with someone is going to be tremendously helpful for you. So I will put your information in the show notes, but also say, how can they find you?
Yes, you can find me at reneesuzannecoaching.com. I've got a great freebie for you to help you write an amazing dating profile. And I also have an awesome podcast called Find Love After 40 with Renee Suzanne.
Ooh, perfect. All right, guys. So, you're great at your business. You're doing cool things. I'm ready to publicize it for you. I will not coach you on dating. I will coach you on your public image and how to get business. So if you're looking for dating advice, don't call me. But if you're looking to get your brand out there, if you're looking to get your name out there, I'm happy to be a part of that process for you. So you can find me at definita.publicity on Instagram or definitapublicity.com. And that's it. So thanks guys for watching. I'm pumped for this and I'm excited to help y'all find love through her, not through me. Bye.
Thank you.